Now, I'd like to go into scheduling special music. Scheduling special music for a church service. Now, I went ahead and printed a copy of the February special schedule. So I'll give that to each of you guys. So this is current. So unless there's something behind the scenes, like somebody got sick and they switched it, but they don't always change these, you should be able to predict pretty accurately who's going to sing and when. So this is a copy of our February schedule. These come out usually a couple months in advance. So we would have seen this. I would have had a month to think about what we're going to do. And then on January 1st, think about that, at the very beginning of the month before. So I usually get this about six to 8 weeks in advance. And then the very beginning of the month before, see that up there, Friday, January 1st? So again, this is February. So she's looking for song titles by the beginning of the month before. All right? And it's not that hard as long as you got this, you're looking at it. You're looking through, okay, well, there's me. You see February 7th. Mixed ensemble is going to sing in the morning. Mrs. Dameron and Mrs. Porzinski are going to do the offertory, and the choir will sing. Of course, down under midweek, you see no special for the 4th, no special for the 11th, no special for the 8th. Well, what's going on right now is we have those institute classes. And so he's been talking about a church. And so he's been talking about, here's the role of the pastor, here's the responsibility of the flock, here's what I'm guarding against. Lately he's been talking about the wolves. So he wanted to save time for that, and so he cut a few specials for our institute classes. But you see there, February 7th, so you see the AM, and then over to the right, that column is the PM. And then the 14th, the college ensemble. So they're gearing up. Davey got an email from me not too long ago about February 14th, the Schoology update anyway. So you see this. So anyway, we were able to look at that, and the reason why Mrs. Vogelin wants these titles in advance is because we're going to sing the Old Rugged Cross, maybe. And she didn't know that we were going to sing the Old Rugged Cross. So she put the Old Rugged Cross as one of the hymns we would sing. And then, well, the offertory, they didn't know we were doing the Old Rugged Cross. And so the offertories, they say, hey, we had no idea this was going to happen, but it turned out to be the Old Rugged Cross themed day. And you say, wow, why didn't you know that was going to happen? We didn't check on it. So she wants to know that ahead of time so she can schedule the hymns around that, so that you're going to sing My Savior first of all, or whatever. So she can look at those things. So we get this in advance. We see, and of course she works closely with the church calendar so that this makes sense. So you see this, and so that when it comes time, you guys have a service schedule from last week, and so you just see where you are on there, and you got to just plan how you're going to get out there. What at this hymn, we're going to move over here, we're going to do this. So, all right, so we get this well in advance, and so we're able to plan and look at the different Saturdays and schedule out the different practices. How many, if you practice on Saturday evening or Thursday night after church or on Sunday. All right, so keep that handy as we go through a few of these notes. All right, we know from 1 Corinthians 14:10 that it says, let all things be done decently and in order. Decently and in order. 1 Corinthians 14:10. So here are just some notes on scheduling special music for a church. First of all specials should glorify God. All specials should glorify God. Now we have our competition. Davey has competed in our competition for Empowered Youth. And one of the things we look for is some people come in with a lot of talent. And they'll come in and they'll act like they know they're talented. And they'll carry themselves in such a way that shows people, I'm good, and I know I'm good. And why should I be ashamed of that? Well, you say, well, okay, you don't have to be ashamed of talent that God has given you. But remember, we looked at that verse earlier. Remember that? Why act like something that was given to you, you created ex nihilo or something, out of nothing? You were given that, so why act like you're something special? So sometimes the judges will say, what should I do? Well, I'm like, well, don't disqualify the person, but take it out of poise. Poise. There's some points you can give the person for poise. How did they carry themselves? And part of special music and part of any time, and we want to teach young people that, is glory to God. Remember at the end of we call it the Lord's Prayer, but the prayer he taught us in the Sermon on the Mount, where he said, unto thee is the power and the glory forever and ever, amen. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory. All power is his. All glory is his. And so that should be first in the special music. Now, secondly, we know it's not a time to show off, and so we ask this question, who should we get to do our special music? Who should we get to do our special music? Certainly church members. I had a lady yesterday come to the church for the first time. And she said, now who drives your buses? I have a CDL. Can I drive one of your buses? And I'm like, we would love for you to drive one of our buses. Down the road, but you have to be one of us first. So, keep coming to the church. And I'm thinking, learn about salvation. I mean, she may very well be saved. I was talking to her after the service a little bit. I say, keep coming, learn about our church, and become a church member. And sure, down the road we can look at, will you drive one of our buses? We're always looking for bus drivers. But certainly, the people standing up in front of your church, we want them to be church members, but what kind? First of all, active soul winners. Active soul winners. You feel a little hypocritical if you're singing to people about soul winning, and if you're not doing it, right? If you're not practicing what you preach, no one's going to listen to your message. And if you're not practicing what you sing, no one's listening to that message. Oh, but it's the talent. I enjoy the vocal skill. Well, there are other people that are a little more in tune, that says, I'm not just here for vocal skill. I would rather hear somebody that's real sing, maybe not as well as that person who isn't. The message isn't resounding as clear. Okay, and then another idea here, right standards. Right standards. Now, I typed this out carefully, so maybe listen to it. I'll read it again, but listen to this before you try to write it down, so you get the notion in your mind. Not the folks who consider it their ministry to show the rest of the church just how close to the edge they can dress and still be just on this side of the line, but the folks who make dressing for the Lord look wonderful. All right? People have this weird notion that I need to show them that I don't have to look backwards. And I can, here's the line of modesty, I can be right here. And I want to show people how that can be done. And that's not what we're looking for. People that are just so fancy and just on the edge, but I'm on this side and I make it look good. However, we don't want the people that make dressing for the Lord look frumpy or pity me. I love when you see a woman that can say, I belong to the Lord. And I don't want my wife walking around like she's an orphan and that nobody loves her, right? And so somebody say, well, if your husband loved you, he'd buy you a decent outfit. No, well, that's the whole point. The whole point is she looks better looking unloved. No. If we belong to God, I think it's fine to look like we have a God who loves us. A kid that comes on the bus with their hair all over the place, you think, oh, your mother didn't, it probably sacked out at home, has this problem, didn't even comb your hair, didn't clean you up. They have whatever all over their face from breakfast. And maybe they're living with their dad and they don't even have a mom there. Who knows what the situation is? But I want my kids going to church and looking like they have a mom and dad that cared for them. And then they kind of, secondarily, they have a mom and dad who have a heavenly Father who cares for them. Okay? So as far as right standards, not showing people, it's like, nah, you can still obey and still look hip. No, that's not what I'm talking about. You can do right, and it's wonderful. That's the aura, I don't know if that's the right even expression, that's the demeanor that our special music could have. The folks that say, it's fun to belong to God and to look like I belong to the King in heaven. All right, that makes sense? And so I mentioned this earlier, that we have even, I talked about this, the ladies who teach, our student teachers, look like student teachers. I can't even begin to tell you what happens, but they dress like a student teacher. You see them and say, she must be student teaching this semester. There's like a special sharpness and a crispness, and even there's something they do to their outfit, and they look all student teacher-ish. And so our ladies, they know when we're up on that platform, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. The skirt length will be a little bit longer. You're up on the platform. There's certain things as far as the heels are concerned. As far as this is concerned, the men are going to have a white shirt. So I think sometimes a light blue or something like that, but a white shirt most often, and a suit jacket. We try to make sure we have a matching pants, and we don't have just a suit jacket typically when we're going to sing. In choir we do. In choir we'll have a jacket and maybe a different color pants, but normally for specials we wouldn't necessarily. And that's, I mean, it's fine. But anyway, we just have different things. It's extra special to be up there. And our goal is not to say, you can never be like us. Our goal in singing special music or playing or whatever is saying, I belong to the Lord and it's great. I love belonging to God. And this is how we think you should look when you do. Okay? So part of how you dress is going to be part of special music as well. And we mentioned this with the ensemble ladies who come from different parts of the country. So when they're going to sing in church, we say we have an outfit that they wear when they match, or sometimes they don't. Sometimes they don't wear the outfit we provided for them. So it's like, hey, you guys don't have to wear your dresses, but you're singing Sunday morning. So you guys dress in just nice attire, modest attire. And so they'll say, well, what is that? So again, we've told them, okay, here are a couple ladies that you can talk to, and just say, just wear the outfit to school one day, and say, Mrs. Ramus, look at this outfit. I was thinking that this could be one of the outfits I sing, and what do you think? And she could say, well, that sweater is weird, or whatever, or she could, that looks wonderful. That's modest, and again, belonging to the Lord there's a comeliness to the right spirit. And so anyway, right standards. I dress this way when I sing, and only when I sing. No, we want to project the idea that I have a heavenly Father who loves me and cares for me, and everything about me reflects that. Okay, so what you guys would do, so you guys are going to do this project, what you would do is make a list. Now here, way back in the day, it's like dot matrix paper when I did this project for this class 100 years ago. So I put together the schedule here for a month. But then you see on your schedule, I'm holding this up to the camera and you can't even see, but this is on your schedule. You see that the groups have names. We have you guys didn't even see this, but there's trio 1, there's trio 2, there's male quartet 1, there's male quartet 2, there's ladies chorus, there's male octet, there's mixed ensemble. Ladies prefer being called ladies chorus instead of the big ladies group. They don't like that. We've learned that by experience. And then you can't switch that to the large ladies group either. They don't like that either. So ladies chorus. Mrs. Armacost actually said, "Can the big ladies group sing?" It was funny. Coming from her, that's okay. But if I emailed that, say, "Hey, can your big ladies group, the college ladies who sing in chapel?" Now if she says, "Can the large ladies group sing?" That's fine. She can do that. But I could never get away with that. So anyway, but what you'd want to do also, this project looks thick, like it's huge, but all that it has here is, and I'll get into this after this, I put on here the different groups. So these are different groups, different instrumental or vocal groups. And I have on here the group, the leader, the members, the practice times and place, and then the music storage. So I'll give you that list right now. So basically, you, for this project, you want to think about who in my church. They can be make-believe people, or you can think of people back home, or even whatever. Make some people up, or think of groups that you have back home. Say, okay, we could have a solo. This person has a nice voice. He could sing this, or she. Maybe you have two soloists. Right now, there's a couple ladies who do solos. My wife and Mrs. Gonzalez. Brother McCoy did solos back in the day. But you have a couple duets, maybe a husband and wife sing together, a mixed duet, and you'd call them the mixed duet. Maybe you have a ladies duet or something. Then maybe you have a mixed trio and a ladies trio. There's a lot of times that would be, and then maybe you have a quartet, a mixed quartet and a men's quartet, or something like that, and then a couple ensembles or something. And of course, some of that will be a mixture of the same people. But I grew up, and it wasn't a huge church in Salt Lake City, and I could come up with a bunch of ideas for people who would come down. But then when you have names, you have groups. So you'd want to make a notebook. And in your notebook, you have a name for a group. Okay? So that they know who they are. You can't just put quartet on that schedule, because there's a couple quartets. So you have quartet 1 and quartet 2, and you know who you are. So the name of the group. Then secondly, the people who are in the group. List the people who are in the group. So you guys will do this for this project, the scheduling project. When you do that schedule, stapled to the back will be the groups that you've put on your schedule to sing. So the names that are in the group. Then the leader of the group, who makes sure the music is picked out, and they take care of the music, and probably they store the music. Now, possibly, sometimes here, I think sometimes the piano player keeps the music. I think for Mrs. Gonzalez, I think possibly Mrs. Edwards hangs on to the music, and they'll pull out the next song, and Mrs. Gonzalez probably they confer somehow, but most of the time, a group will have a leader, like Mr. Brady. He's got the library for the mixed ensemble. Mrs. Annette Vogelin, she keeps the music for the mixed ensemble. The two ladies trios, there's a lady on each of those that keeps that music. The male quintet, I keep the music for the male quintet. The male quartet too, that's Mr. Brady. The ladies' duet, Mrs. Gonzalez and Mrs. Swangam, who sang Last Night. Very nice song. I'm thinking Mrs. Swangam hangs on to all that music for them. So a group leader, someone will look at that schedule and say, okay, well, that's a Sunday morning. We should probably pick a song that keeps in mind that we'll have visitors there. Oh, that's a Sunday evening? Let's pick this song. Oh, that's a Thursday evening? Let's pick this song. So you think through those things. Okay, then who's your piano player? Put that on there as well. Who's the piano player for the group? And then practice time and place. A time you'll practice and a place you'll practice. So some of this could be at homes, like for my wife, for her solo. She could go over to Mrs. Wasilewski's house. Mrs. Wasilewski plays for her. Or Mrs. Wasilewski could come over to our house. They could run over some things. Or, since they both work here, sometimes they'll get together. Other larger groups, you need to have specific times. I know Mr. Brady's group, the octet and the quartet meet before prayer on Saturday night. The mixed ensemble meets before choir on Sunday afternoons. And then there's different ladies groups that will meet right after different services. I know there's ladies, if you ever look up here, before bus meeting on Saturday, there's a bunch of cars here. There's people here for nursing home meetings, but there's also people here practicing for different specials. Okay, and then with this, write down, I know I gave you this before, but write this down. New groups or members of groups must be approved by the pastor. New groups or members of groups must be approved by the pastor. And this is just a safe rule so that you don't have somebody that gets up and sings and they're not dressed right, they're weaker, they don't know. And certainly, along with this, any new music should be approved somehow. Any new music should be approved somehow. So you got this new song, just send a recording of it to either the pastor or the person he has in charge of approving new music and say, I think this would be a blessing to our church. What do you think? And so he could say, I think that would work. Just maybe watch this with the piano part. Or here's why I don't want to go that direction yet. I don't want to open the door that way. I think that song is fine, but it's on the edge of something, of a direction I don't want to go. Just kind of watching, and he can even explain some of that stuff, or not. So, because there's tons. There's plenty of music that we can sing. So don't grab a piece and say, this is the song that would be a blessing to our church. And if we can't do this, don't just say, hey, this was a blessing. What do you think about using it in church? Sometimes, literally, sometimes there are like elements in a song that no one of those elements disqualifies it. But the fact that there's so many of those elements. It's like there's a touch of this, which we don't like it when a song takes that too far. Okay, but does this one take it too far? No, I think it's safe. Okay, I can use it. But there's an element of this. Oh, does it do that too much? No, it's actually okay, but it kind of pushes the bounds a little bit, but it's on this side. And if you get enough of those elements in the same song, that's when you could say there's just too many of those elements that are on the edge. Now, if you have a song that maybe the syncopation does this, and it's just here and there, you'd say, well, and syncopation is one of those things that can really get the body going. And rhythm is good, but there's a balance. All right? Syncopation, where you have the beat in between the beat, and then the longer beat starting on in between beats or whatever. And for those, sometimes you just say, well, can I sing this song? And you say, okay, well, it doesn't cross the line in any one element. But there's just so many of these things where it gets close that I'd like to just put that on the back burner or disqualify that one. Anyway, that's fine. That's good. There's plenty of music that doesn't. And just enjoy that music. All right? It's for God anyway. If you fall in love with a piece of music, I could never be happy unless this was... Who's the music for? Who's the music for? All right? So again, there's a lot of those things, and later on this semester we'll get more into what makes some music bad, what makes some music good, and then we'll go through just principles, Bible principles, and how to take those principles and form standards, and convictions, and music guidelines. Okay. So know how many specials the pastor wants. Then, I already kind of gave this to you, but plan your special music 2 months in advance. And you don't have to. I mean, this isn't like I don't have a Bible verse for that. But you can kind of see why this system makes sense. You could have a different system that makes sense. That's fine. But I just want to tell you a system that we have used. So if you can plan your special music 2 months in advance, it sure helps. It sure helps. Then you know, and you have time to practice. All right? I've seen it where people are throwing stuff together at church, before church. And I'm talking, they're looking at music for the first time right before the service that they're going to sing as a special. I would say that's, in an emergency, maybe, but it doesn't seem like, I think I could say that's not decent and in order. If you can have your music, I think the Bible is pretty clear about skillful and doing things. If you can put all this energy into other things, why not the special music for the church service? So, So here, there's a typed copy that's passed out to everyone involved 6 weeks before the first of the month. And then, of course, what's the other nice thing about sending this out is especially over the summer, what would possibly be a problem? Okay? Yes, sir?
Going on vacation.
People's vacation. People's vacation. And we don't think that they should have to cancel their vacation because they're like, I was going to be visiting my grandma that weekend. Oh, well, I can't. Okay, so if this is out in advance enough, you could say, send Mrs. Vogel an email. Hey, I was thinking, like my group, my men's group one time, there was a couple of my guys on vacation, and I said, the week after my wife is singing. Can she sing this week that my guys are on vacation? Then the week after when my wife would have sung, we're all here. Can we just take that day? Does that make sense? But it's nice to know that ahead of time. It's nice for the special, you have a special guest preacher there, and he looks down at his schedule and it says female solo, and then all these men come out to sing. You're like, what? Oh, we changed it. And you couldn't get your schedule, you didn't know that in enough time to get your schedule to reflect that. It's not the end of the world, but if you can be decent and in order, you got to try. All right, so, and then vary the services for which the group sing. So don't have a group sing always on Sunday morning. Maybe they can sing Sunday morning and Sunday evening or Thursday night. That have different times that they sing. Also vary we are the first Sunday of the month group. Which is fine, but it's nice to vary which week of the month that a group sings. I remember one time when my group was brand new, the male quintet, we were always singing at the end of the month. It was the end of the month, the end of the month, the end of the month. And so the end of December, we sang. And so I was not responsible enough. I didn't even look at January. I thought, I got time. I'll be at the end of January, my group. So I'm not even going to look at it. Oh man! So that church service came, and it was the Thursday night. All the parents, all the students are back, and parents are even there dropping off their college students. And I'm sitting there in church, and the preacher kind of walks up and looks. He's looking at the schedule, and he's like, "Male quintet. Were you supposed to sing? Who's the male quintet?" And I'm like, "It's me." Oh no! So I'm like, he's like, "Jeremiah, were you guys supposed to?" We're having this conversation across the auditorium. Jeremiah, were you supposed to sing? And I'm like, if it's on your schedule, apparently I was. It was my fault. I didn't even look at it. And so here I had been end of the month, and then we were going to be at the end of December and beginning of January, and didn't even look at it. I was younger and more irresponsible. I'm older now and more responsible. All right? I look at the schedule. I looked this morning. Every Monday morning, I have it on my rotating calendar. Every Monday morning to review this upcoming music schedules. So that's actually probably when I sent the Schoology update, Dave, for you guys. So check each date thoroughly. What's nice for us is and you guys can check into this. It might be nice for you guys to see if your church can put a websites. It's not hard to put a calendar on a website, is it, Dave? Like a church calendar and just some of the upcoming events. So if you have that stuff there, it's nice as you look, you're able to look at the church calendar and make sure the special music coincides with what's coming up in the church. It's nice when everything at a church is synchronous. Does that make sense? Whereas this isn't competing against this. So special speakers, spring or fall pushes, holidays, parent-teacher fellowships, different kinds of banquets. Sometimes banquets are on Thursday night, like our stewardship and sustainers, Christmas. Sometimes our banquets are on Friday nights, our men's barbecue, our ladies' banquet later on this week. And then here's a note. Sometimes somebody in December, they don't have a Christmas message, and but then the person sings this Christmas special and gets you like totally in the mood for a Christmas message. Then they get up and say, turn to Habakkuk or something. And I feel bad doing this because I know it's Christmas later on this month, but so even something like that, I have a note here that even just said you might even consider some of that stuff, but I think that's overdoing it. I don't think we necessarily do that, but it's at least a consideration. And then we don't repeat our specials for 2 years. We don't repeat our specials for 2 years. So what I do is there's different ways to categorize this, but like this year is 2016, and then I will I'll have the different songs. For January we did this, February we did this, March. Some months, actually February, my group isn't even down to sing in February. We have enough groups, and with the institutes not singing and college ensemble can sing here and there, my group isn't even actually down for February. But so January and then March we sang this. And so basically, as I look, what are we going to sing for April? What am I going to sing for April? Well, what I'll do is I won't look at 2015. Oh, okay. Or 2014. Okay. And I'll go back a couple years and I'll look and see what I sang back then, and then what time of year I sang it. What did I sing it for? Is it depending on what I'm looking for? A Sunday morning song? Is it going to be if this happened to be November? Do I want a Thanksgiving song? If it's July, do I want something patriotic? God of our fathers or something like that. So I'll look back a couple of years. And so I'll have this list here. I have one of these for high school choir, one of these for college choir, for male quintet. So I kind of go over that. All right. So then, and then keep a file of each month to be referenced. Keep a file. So as you pull up February, you can pull up last year's February and just look at it and just say, oh, and maybe you can even make little notes to yourself about certain things. So anything to add to that? Anything you guys remember from back home, or anything that you would add to those ideas? Yes, sir.
I have a question. You say you don't repeat the specials for 2 years.
Yes.
Each group makes sure that they don't repeat their specials?
Well, not necessarily. Like some groups will sing and you'll be like, hey, that's one of ours. But over time, you kind of like, well, either they, and then two groups singing the same arrangement doesn't necessarily sound the same. But I think over time, one of them kind of says, all right, I'll let that group have that. So no, we don't, it might not be a bad idea, but when you have music, we don't have a system for saying, does anybody else sing this? Because it could be an arrangement that's similar. Like it's the same hymn, and there's similar ideas, but it's a little different. And the church doesn't, oh no, we just heard a similar arrangement last month. It's been fine. If it came to the point where people were noticing, it's like, don't we have more music than this? Then you could do something about it. But no. So each group kind of monitors itself and makes sure a couple of years. For high school choir, I kind of have a goal since they're 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. Since I have 7th through 12th, I thought it'd be kind of fun, since they don't sing that often, if I have a 6-year rotation so that they don't have to repeat music. They can always be learning new stuff. And then the 7th year. But anyway, that's some of those things that is kind of fun for the sake of them. But then you rob them of kind of, hey, in a few years, can we pull this song back out? I love this song. Nope. He will be long gone before we pull that out again. So that is also nice too.